Morning, sir.
Hey, Chris, how you doing, man?
A good man. How things?
Wow, fine, fine. How's the weather?
Well, it's hot.
Well,
It's hot over here.
I'm glad to hear that because over here you throw a bucket of water in the air and it'll freeze before it hits the ground.
I would enjoy that weather.
Hello, peoples. I don't know where you are at this time, but here in Montreal, winter ain't over. And judging by the constant snowfalls we're having, looks like I won't be installing my summer tires anytime soon. Well, what the hell. We're used to it. Bienvenue au Québec, tabarnak. Anyway, in order to break the ice, so to say, I'm taking you to Barbados where we're going to have a chat with Chris Griffin. Chris is an audiovisual tech at a university, but also an experienced lighting designer and board operator. And a really nice guy too. I had a chance to meet him a couple years ago when he came to Montreal to attend an Avo Lights training session. Now, just before we hit the palm trees, if you're enjoying this podcast, be sure to tell all your friends about it and share it on social media. As a matter of fact, why don't you go ahead and do that right now during the commercial? The Backstage Cowboys podcast is brought to you by AVL Media Group and Avo Lights, who make the best lighting consoles in the world. If you live in Canada, you now have access to the Avo Lights Academy online learning platform. The cost is $229, and that includes an editor Avo key delivered directly to your door. Head on over to BackstageCowboys.com and click on the Avo Lights Academy logo to get all the details. Now, if you don't live in Canada, well, that means you're in another country. So if you're in the United States, head on over to avolights.us. Anywhere else in the world, just go directly to avolights.com and you'll find all the resources available in your country. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is another episode of the Backstage Cowboys podcast. Hey, can somebody push play on that tape deck? Man, it's been a while.
That's true.
So you came over to Canada. How long? How long has it been now? It's been like 3 years, something like that.
2.5.
2.5.
2019. The ending of 2019.
Okay, just before everything shut down.
Yeah.
So, how's it happening at your end? I mean, first of all, are people vaccinated in Barbados?
Yeah, we have probably close to 70% vaccinated.
Okay.
So things are looking pretty good.
Okay, and are you still holding events, or is it at a dead stop, or how is it now?
We just open up for events, but only vaccinated and proof of negative PCR tests.
Mm-hmm.
The capacity, the numbers are capped at a certain level depending on the capacity of the building.
Okay.
But yeah, things are starting back. Most of them though are hybrid. So it's some in person and some online.
Oh, I see. Okay. So, hey, man, I thank you very much for accepting my invitation. I'm very, very glad to have you on the show.
No problem at all.
So, I don't have a specific structure. We just talk like two good buddies talking about all sorts of stuff. And because the idea of the podcast came out of a bunch of guys in a shop. Friday afternoons, you know, we'd relax. Sometimes when it wasn't too busy on a Friday afternoon, we'd open up a beer and then we'd sit around and chat. And all the stories that came out, you know, of that time, we were wondering, was like, we should have a radio show. I think people would want to hear this, you know, this is too much cool stuff going on. And, you know, and me being the weird guy in the group, I decided to go ahead and do it. So
I got you.
So, Chris, tell me about yourself. What are you doing now exactly? You're a lighting guy, right?
Yeah, I'm a lighting tech
Yeah.
slash media aid for a university.
Okay.
University. Yeah, so basically do almost everything. Piece of sound. I do lighting for shows, bands, you name it.
So, are you full
So
time now for a company, or how does it work?
no, I'm still full time for the university,
Okay.
but I work part time for a production company, Train Solutions. So we do gigs on the road, productions, stuff like that. When in my free time,
Okay.
obvious. Yeah, so I still get to play around with the big boy instruments. What we would not have here in the theater, because we have a black box theater here at the center.
Okay.
So we have a couple Martins, couple Robbies, Avalites, Paps on board. So what isn't here, I still get to play around on the road.
You're right now. How old are you?
I'm 32.
32. Well, that's young.
Yeah.
That's like almost half my age. And
Yeah.
so, what I'd like to know is how you got to being where you are, and I mean, are you born in Barbados?
Yeah. Born
Okay,
and raised.
okay, so you've been in Barbados all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you explain to me how it started? What got you into this mess? I mean, in this business.
It sometimes be a mess. Yes. I agree with that. Um, it started back, uh, let's say 2007. I I got out of school in 2006, and I was like, okay, I seen all my siblings, everyone around me working. So I decided, you know what? I need a job. I need to feel some sort of independence in my life. So I went to work for a company making, an industrial company making solar panels.
Hmm.
And that lasted for like 6 months. I was like, nah, this isn't for me. It's too hard. So I walked off the job one day, and that was it for me. I came home. I said, you know what? I think I'm an office guy. I was still trying to find my footing and where I stand or where my qualifications will land me. So after deciding for like 2 weeks, I was like, you know what? I really, really need a job. I feel it too idle. So my brother, he worked for a lighting company part time. So I reached out to him. I said, bro, I need a job. I wrote a lot of applications to a number of companies and who don't have vacancies just didn't reach back out to me.
Hmm.
So I said, okay, I need a job. These are my qualifications. What do you have for me? Because his full time job is construction.
Okay.
And he was like, all right, you could come and be a laborer. I was like, nah, that's hot, son. B. My hands in for that. He's like, okay, he can get in touch with the CEO at the lighting company and see what he has in store. So 2 days after, he told me, well, he's going to bring an application form for me, fill it out, and he would take it in, and we go from there. All that process happened, and I was called for an interview at the lighting company. So I went to the lighting company, IGM Stage Lighting,
Hmm.
and they accepted me same day. So I didn't even know I was a creative person because my whole thing was about computers. I wanted to be a computer tech.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You're
I
not too
have
far off though.
exactly right. So that's what actually got me into it as well because I saw the lighting boards. I was like, yo, but they were kind of analog back then.
Yeah.
So they trained me for like 2 weeks and just seeing how these guys pull a show from scratch,
Mm-hmm.
from paper to fly rigs and everything. It just amazed me.
I see it in your eyes.
And
It's
yeah,
sparkling there.
yeah. So I was like, yeah, I like this. I'm moving from venue to venue. It was like, I've never been here. Let me see what I could do. And from the time they taught me from the time you get into the door, what to actually, how to throw your mind and creativity. You can do endless stuff in a ballroom.
Hmm.
You can fly whatever you want and do whatever you want. Just get creative once the budget allows. So I was like, okay. So year in, year out, I'm working day in, day out. Hours didn't matter. I just was about getting these shows up and running. And before you know it, 8 years passed.
Well, that's passion.
Yeah. And I realized I it's not a job for me. It is something that I love doing.
Yeah.
I tell people I would do it for free. Just give me stuff to work with and I would produce something for you.
I always say
And
that. So once in a while, I pass by people and I say, "Hey, you realize we're paid for this?"
yeah.
It's hard work, though.
Yeah.
That's something I wanted to go back to because you were making solar panels, and that was too
Hmm.
hard. And
Yeah.
I, I had to laugh because I mean, we know how hard our job can be, right? It can be like
Definitely.
it can be endless. I mean, uh,
Yes.
it's easy to say walk into an empty room and be creative.
Hmm.
Turning that empty room into something spectacular is a lot of work.
Hmm. It is.
There's got to be passion
But
behind that.
you don't look at it as hard work because when you look at the amount of guys you have to perform this duty and the amount of instruments and what they can do, you just go to work. You know, when you look back, you're saying, yo, we're 9 hours in, and you look around the room, all right, we still got a lot to do. All right, let's give it another 4 and we call it for the day.
Mm,
And by the end of that day, you're at the board tweaking stuff.
yeah.
It's amazing. And I mean, sometimes, okay, we do fets, which is at scale party events.
Uh huh.
And when patrons see you like linemen, it's like, man, you should be working, but I am working. This is what I'm paid to do.
I get the same feeling.
Yeah. So I love it. I love every part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my background
So
from
there's
start
one
to
thing I'd
now.
like to know. I mean, before you started working, actually, even when you were doing solar panels and then moving on
Mhm.
to the lighting company. Before that, I mean,
Mhm.
your studies. What did you study in,
Um,
or did you study at
well,
all? I mean, sometimes going to school doesn't mean study, right?
that's true. Um, I study a lot of things that they really point me into the direction I'm in now. Um, I did electronics in school,
Mm-hmm.
math, English. I did IT in school, sciences, languages. That's about it. Um, but when I finished school, I had mechanical engineering, IT, math, English. Those are the subjects. But it didn't really point me into the direction that I'm in now.
Uh huh.
A lot of people was like, man, you should go to college and, study this and that. But it's like, nah, that's not me. Nah. So my studies back then was very basic. Um, I just wanted to finish school. So they were like, okay, you need 5 or more CSEs in order to get a good job, good paying job in Barbados. So why you don't study any five? They didn't specifically tell you, okay, if you study this, you can get a job in this.
Hmm.
So I studied what I liked, which was IT. I gave more into that subject more than anything else. Yeah, I passed the West, but I came out really big in IT
Yeah.
because I had a passion for it.
Yeah, I believe you. And it's strange because when you're in school, you have, certain courses that are available to you. You have a limited choice
Yeah,
compared to the real jobs out there. And
yep,
sometimes obscure jobs like I don't know how it is today for people, for students today, but
hmm
when I went to school, light board operator,
hmm
that didn't exist. I mean, it did. There was somebody operating the light board, obviously, or
yeah,
screwing around with the dimmers on the wall or whatever.
yeah,
but you
it's
couldn't
true.
say I want to do that. You didn't even know that existed. And it's once you're out of school, that's when you
hmm
realize, oh, there's a whole bunch of specialized jobs out there, well-paying jobs, because you can earn a decent living. I mean, doing this.
Yeah, yeah,
It's strange. You have to discover it for yourself.
it's true. It
Yeah,
is very true.
because the way
A lot.
the way you tell me your story there, I mean, a friend of yours was working for this company, but would you have
Mhm.
found this company? Would you have been aware that you can do this?
Never,
Crazy, eh?
never at all. I mean, I was dealing with sound before I was dealing with lighting
Yeah.
because I came up. Some of the guys around me were DJs.
Okay.
So, you're going to move a speaker, you're going to move with the records and the little crate. So, I came up doing sound before I even know lighting to this big extent ever existed.
Hmm.
Never knew
I guess
until I
that's
actually got into it.
I guess that's pretty universal because I got into sound too. I was like DJing also, never any good at it. Um, but it was the technical world. I had to get
Yeah,
into
it's
that,
true.
and then once you're in, then you see everything
hmm
else, and it's a big
Yes.
world. It's a huge world. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people, and that's pretty much the reason for the podcast to unscramble this and bring this to the public and say, hey guys, you still in school? There's a whole bunch of things you can do you probably weren't aware of.
It's true. It is very true. Man, the things I came in contact with after the lighting company, I didn't even know existed.
Hmm.
I mean, you could be a programmer, a rigger, uh, actual electronics technician. And we here in Barbados have to wear multiple hats. So you have to have a knowledge of almost everything on the job.
Well, that's pretty much a lot of places is like that.
hmm
Especially if you go to the corporate world, uh,
hmm
you do need to be able to touch just about everything. Up until you get to a professional tour or you're working as a specialist, it's all a question of budget, right? I mean, there's a
hmm
lot of work out there. There's small budget, there's big budget. There's a lot more small budget than there is big budget. So, you want to work with small budget? I always said, give me the back of the shop, give me all the scrap you have, and pay me, and I'll make it work. Rather than trying to get always the top end gigs and the big budget things. I mean, yeah, once in a while when you get one, you're very happy,
Mhm.
and when you have
Yeah.
unlimited, fixtures and creativity and whatever. But I mean, day to day life, not everybody has the budget, but you still have to deliver, and
True.
that's probably where you get the most creative when you have
Hmm.
to do with what you have.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yep. You have to come up with some sort of design that works within those guidelines, and it's turned out to be good.
Yeah. Why don't you tell me about a couple of things you might have done that you're particularly wow. I have to say it again. I'm a French guy, so I think in French I speak in English. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. So
Ah,
yeah.
I got
So
you.
yeah, maybe some situations where you're particularly proud of yourself, or you got away with with something that might not have worked.
Hmm. I would say mostly in theater. Uh, Sometimes you hit or you miss,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, theater is the heavy hitter for me. Um, what you see in the first rehearsal isn't what ends up to be what's going to stage. So a few gigs I had, few theater gigs I had, they told me, okay, they are going to do some diagonals and put some shadow houses and stuff on stage. So
Mm-hmm.
I set my rig to allow for all those pieces.
Yeah.
Came back in 2 days after for dress rehearsal. Ended up spending the whole night after dress rehearsal re-rigging,
Wow.
reprogramming,
Mm.
and ready for show next day myself. So when I got to the board now, the board starts to freak out on show night because I didn't turn it off for the last 24 hours. So I'm there now with my laptop and Avo trying to piece together a show with cues that I just created out of the blue because I didn't well they weren't in the dress rehearsal. So I'm going off of memory, trying to plot all of these cues, the ins and outs, the specials, what's not. I know my mistakes. I can see them, but to the general audience and the director, I'm flawless. At the end of it, I had to tap my give me a tap because it was not easy, and that happened more than once
Wow.
because again, you didn't have a budget, so you see it firsthand, you work for it, and then you come back in. Sometimes you don't get a rehearsal before the dress rehearsal.
Hmm.
So when the dress rehearsal happened and stuff is out of sync or out of place, you now have to commit to the memory what happened and try to reprogram for the show. It is hard.
Bad planning.
It don't always go to plan, but majority of it goes.
Yeah. Have you ever done any corporate events where you got pin spots on the tables?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And of
yeah.
course, I mean, having the luxury of doing that with moving lights doesn't happen very often. So
Mm-mm.
you have like Licos, whatever, focused
Yeah.
on each table. And what'll
Mm-hmm.
happen just as they're opening the doors? They'll move a few
Mm-hmm.
tables.
Yes, that came into a a plan I had. We was working with a company from the UK, Banana Split, and they is who show me how to do that pin spot with the actual pin spots
Uh,
for the the mirror ball.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, those were pretty good. and a couple tables moved, and the guy was like, "Oh well." I was like, "But it's out. They're out of light." It's like, "Nothing they can do there." But here at the center, we do have a Flickos, and we have a fly rig, uh, sky deck rather.
Oh,
So you can
okay.
go up, yeah, you could go up and move stuff because it's still a teaching environment. So that's why the sky deck is in place.
Uh-huh. Well, that's
Not
that's good, but most hotels and reception
don't
halls,
have any.
you don't have that luxury.
Nope.
I
Unless you
actually,
drop.
yeah, I actually did a job at the Bell Center, which is our, our hockey arena here, and
Mhm.
they did a corporate event in the Bell Center for some reason. I don't know, policeman's ball or something. And I had a guy
Oh,
walking on the rig as people were walking in because somebody put a DMX splitter somewhere,
hmm.
but
And
not
freaked
not
out.
an opto splitter, just a Y cable. You know the thing you never do? Yeah, somebody
Yeah.
decided. I don't know where that damn cable came from, but anyway, the guy was walking on the rig, found it, repaired it. And
Wow.
people sometimes they walk into the venues and they have no clue what's going on, above their heads or behind the stage or whatever.
It's true. It is true. I mean, I've been somewhere the audience came in and settled, and just about to have dinner, I had to be over them trying to change two bulbs
Oof.
that shattered inside of the light.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't easy. Put down a piece of card and made sure none of the bits and pieces of bulb dropped.
Wow.
The things we do for the show is like imaginary. A lot of people be like, "Oh, really? You did that?" It's like, yes, you had no choice. And man, it's I don't know. I don't know what I would be doing if I wasn't doing this.
Well, it's hard to say now that you're doing it and you know what it is
Mhm.
and you know it exists.
Yes,
But
it's true.
if not, you would probably be somewhat happy being an IT guy, I suppose.
The thing is, though, in this job, you don't need to go fully into college to be actual tech.
Hmm.
You could train as you go. It allows for that, and I like that. Now with some jobs, if you want to get to the next level, you have to go back to school and study hard,
Yeah.
get a degree. Yeah, it's more. I like the hands-on feeling
Hmm.
where you could pick up from somebody and say, you know what, I saw what you did there. I think I could do that. I like that feeling.
Yeah, it's still like
Uh,
that. At some point, it might change. I know there's basics, safety basics that you know,
that's coming into play.
and
Yes.
and and that's a good thing because there's too many unnecessary accidents that happen just
Mhm.
because people aren't aware of the safety measures and all that. So I think that's important that people get at least a safety training. And
Mhm.
yeah, and after that, well, it's all a question of talent, creativity, whatever it is. Unless you want to push cases for the rest of your life, you can do that too. I mean, it's a
Drive
decent
truck.
job. You got to get the cases there. I mean,
It's true. It's true. Roll it in. Just about 2 weeks ago,
hmm.
I caught a panic. I caught a small panic attack.
Oh,
Trying to install the Evo key on the Sapphire.
oh,
Yeah, but it's up and running, and I'm loving version 15.
it's nice. Yeah,
Yes.
a lot of cool features on there. I actually went through the Avo Lights Academy once more just to refresh.
Okay,
And
okay.
because right now we just opened it up in Canada, so you can actually get on the Avo Lights Academy online. So
Okay.
yeah, that's a big deal
I
for
gotta.
us. I mean, because our biggest problem in Canada is that there are not enough Avo Light operators. So we had to get a training system, up and running. So they did it in the UK, that worked, and then they opened it up in the States. And
Mm-hmm.
so Gordon and I we got together and well, actually, it was more Gordon than me. I was just following, but so they installed a server in Canada, and now we have access to that. So
That's good.
that's pretty cool. By the way,
Yeah.
I'm in my house right now because because of the COVID situation, we're trying to work from home as much as we can. And in the next
Mm-hmm.
room, I have a Sapphire sleeping there. So if you want a deal, I got it right here.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's my
very
demo
nice.
Sapphire. It's actually the one we had when you came.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, and I got my D9 coming, so this one's for sale. So if you're looking for a deal, we'll ship it to you.
Wow. I really needs to touch the B9.
Yeah, it's
I've heard great things about it, so kind of fascinated about it.
yeah. I had the opportunity to play on it because they sent me a demo, which
Mm-hmm.
it was sort of like a prototype, but a working prototype. It wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
100% finished. It wasn't branded,
Mm-hmm.
but it was 100% functional. So they sent
Mm-hmm.
it to me. I kept it for about a month, and I was able to go to the major places here and do some demos. An amazing console, really. But what's cool is that the Sapphire or the Arena or any other board will run the same software. So you have the same features, from one board to another.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same software on every platform.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is the ergonomics. It's just
Ah.
laid out in a way that in my wildest dreams I wouldn't have had as much convenience. Just the way
I
it's laid
wanted.
out, just everything is just thought of. I mean, there's years and years of gathering information from operators and putting all that into one board. So
Ah.
yeah, so compared to the Fuso truck that that Ford came out with, being a touring guy, I can tell you about trucks.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
the Fuso truck, I think, was 100 years of bad ideas put all in one truck. Just
Wow.
just an example. The windshield washer fluid. In some
Mm-hmm.
countries, probably you never use it. In Canada, it's
Mm-hmm.
mandatory that you have windshield washer fluid, or else you just can't see where you're going. When it's so during a snowstorm or when it's messy out there, and you
Mm-hmm.
have to open up the passenger door, and on the side of the dashboard, there's a cork
It's
there,
sticking out.
but it's on the
Yeah.
side. It's vertical. So you have to open it up, then find a funnel somewhere or make one, and then try to get the liquid in there.
Wow.
That's just an example. So
Right.
tell me,
Okay.
I mean, I realize that Barbados is. I mean, you don't have hours and hours of road to do to get to a venue, right? But
No.
but are there any road stories that you might have to tell, or bad loads, or?
Uh, no. Mm-mm. Because I don't ride with the stuff.
Okay, you're the superstar. So
It's
you say you don't ride with the stuff, so you don't load, you don't unload, you're the brain.
I unload.
Yeah. All right, that's what I wanted to hear.
I unload and I load the vehicles, but most of the time I'm not in the warehouse.
Hmm.
So I don't get to go with the vehicles at all. We don't really do breakdowns here. Servicing of the vehicles are really up to par. So things don't really break down here as such if you're a production company using their own vehicles. Everything happens like spot on. If it's supposed to go for maintenance, it happens. What I could tell you is I witnessed stuff being thrown out from the side of a vehicle.
Oh.
Yeah. We were at a venue and we was waiting for the truck. So when the truck came around a corner, I guess it came around too fast and the door somehow unlocked.
Oh.
That's around either 4 or 5 Martin cases came flying through the door.
You.
Yeah, 600s and Mat 101s. They got damaged.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so I think that's the only one
Hmm.
I can remember. But
That
other than that, I just drive to the venue and offload.
See, that's part of the safety training. You got to use straps in trucks.
It's true.
There's a convention
I
on
guess,
that.
I guess the guy, I don't know, he figured that, it was part to capacity though.
Hmm.
So the weight probably shifted on him
Yeah.
and everything ended up coming through there.
Yeah. Well, stuff happens.
It does. It does. Some stuff on the job, I can remember we were setting up screens and we set up an A-frame truss system
Mm-hmm.
for the screen to hang on. And the guys that set up the truss didn't put any braces on it.
Oh.
They just set it up freestanding. And the screen guys, they came and they set up all their screens, probably 80 panels on this truss.
Oh.
A high wind came and just blew it out.
Jeez. No one got injured?
Nobody got injured, but it was a hefty payout.
Oh, yeah.
These things, they happen. They can be avoided, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, sometimes,
just...
yeah, there's just, mistakes happen too, eh?
I was on a show at the time, and there were performers on stage, doing their stuff. And I just saw a Sharpie. It somehow came off the shackles that was on the truss, and it dropped.
Wow.
And the same time it was dropping, I think one of the techs on stage saw it. So when it was dropping, he just snatched it and took it off stage.
Wow.
I was like, whoa.
Reflex.
Yeah.
So how long have you been working at the university?
7 years now.
7 years. And how did you come to work there? I mean, so you were working for the lighting company, but then you got hired by the university. How did that happen?
When I started a lighting company, I was based here because they had the contract.
Oh, okay.
For the lighting, yeah.
Okay.
So they did the whole install of the lighting system. So I was mainly based here. This is where I did majority of my training as well. So I'm more theater based than concert and corporate.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what do you prefer?
I would say concert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More spontaneous, right?
Yes. You get to do way more and have way more fun.
More freedom too. Huh?
Yes, definitely. With theater, you're bounded and you have to stick to one type of thing for each show. So it's like most of the time it's like lights up, lights down. That can get to you. Yes. So in concert, it's like we get to do pixel mapping. You get to show your skills more in concert.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I would say concert, definitely.
Have you done any TV or film?
Yeah, we do that here as well. We have a film program. So I'm usually the grip for it.
Oh, okay.
When I first came, because in the production company, you have like Atman Star Powers and Lycos, but with here, you have ARRI stuff. So they transition from that Star Power, Lyco stuff to ARRI stuff was a bit challenging.
Yeah.
Because they throw and, doing different things with the ARRI kits. I had to start learning that.
Yeah.
So
it's another technique.
Yes. So I picked up on it pretty fast, and I'm actually liking it.
Cool. Yeah, because you're
Yeah.
working instead of working for the public, you're working for the camera, which is a whole.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a whole other. It's a different way of handling things because the
Hmm.
camera does
Def-
not see the same way that a human sees.
yes. Sometimes, I mean, I don't have my own monitor upstairs, so I just have to run down three flights of stairs just to see what the cameraman sees.
That's why we have walkie talkies.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't have any here. We have
Headsets.
headsets.
Yeah.
Yeah, they work, but sometimes when he's moving, can't really hear what he's doing. So
Hmm.
you go random and check. That is not it's mandatory. What about you?
Me? Uh,
Yeah, what's your background?
you want my background? This show's
How you
about
got
you,
into
man.
this?
Well, my background is a bit strange.
Ah,
It's a bit strange because I started off as a musician. So
mm-hmm.
I started
Play,
taking music
playing
lessons.
what?
Well, I was playing the organ in '69. I was 5 years old. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Then I moved on to piano, keyboards, guitar,
Mm-hmm.
drums, and more recently I started playing the bass. But that was pretty much it. In the '80s, I had a band. Then at some point, I bought a sound system. I started doing sound. And then
Mm-hmm.
I went off doing other stuff. I was a computer technician too, late '80s, early '90s,
Okay.
for the government here in Quebec.
Uh-huh.
And after that, I became a financial advisor because that's what my family was doing. So I decided, I should get a decent job
Making
and
switch.
do something
Yeah.
serious, which was not for me. After 7 years, I had it. I remember being in my office.
Uh-huh.
I was doing tax reports, and when the day was over, like at 11 o'clock at night, I'd shut the door.
Uh-huh.
I'd open up the file cabinet, and I had a keyboard in there, and then I had microphones and I, all sorts of stuff, and I was recording music at night in my office. So at some
Wow.
point, I just handed over the business to my partner, and
Uh-huh.
started doing lighting. At
Mm-hmm.
first, it was just a small group that I was working with, so I was pretty much an amateur. I had some knowledge in electronics and in electricity,
Mm-hmm.
so I was able to figure it out. And then, like you say, on the field, working with people, then nice people that took the time to show me some stuff, showed me what a dimmer was, showed me what a twist lock was, and
Yeah.
all this stuff. And then I became head electric, and then I started programming moving lights and all that. And then it just built up, and I did tours, I did movies, I did corporate events, all sorts of stuff. Everything you can do in that era. And
Mm-hmm.
then in 2006, I believe it was, no, 16,
Mm-hmm.
I was head of the lighting department at a shop in Montreal. I did that for 3 years, and then AVL, which is a distributor,
Yeah.
offered me the job I have now, which is light product specialist, which I didn't know existed. Once again, these jobs that they don't tell you in school.
That's all. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in short, but I do have a funny story. Once I was doing a corporate event and there was a shitload of lights. It was huge, and there was a
Mm-hmm.
wall of dimmers, and behind curtains, of course, because we curtain off everything, and a
Mm-hmm.
wall of dimmers, and a fall of cables, like hundreds of cables. Just everything was patched one by one. And
Mm-hmm.
at one point, a lady was looking for the bathroom, I suppose, and she opened up the curtain and came face to face with the dimmer city. And I was sitting right next to the dimmer, And she, oh, and she looked at that, and she looked at me, and realized that I was probably the guy who plugged that in, which was true. And she said, I
Uh-huh.
don't know how you guys are able, to work with all this stuff. I mean, with all these cables. How can you tell which one is which? Well, very simple. I plugged in one at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah. As the guys were bringing it to me, I plugged them all in one by one. Right now, ask me to find a particular one. Yeah, it might not be too easy. So anyway, that was funny.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah, man.
yeah, to resume 57 years of life. In a nutshell, that's
Yeah.
pretty much what happened to me. So I'm still playing music from time to time, but the reason
Mhm.
why I stopped doing music full time, because I did try for 5 years. I did
Mhm.
record, and I was a songwriter, and I just got tired of being poor, so let it go.
It has its moments, yes.
Yeah. Well, what I find difficult when you're especially if you're writing music, what I find difficult
Mhm.
is that you know how much work you're going to put into it. You have no
Mhm.
clue what the outcome is going to be.
Mhm.
You're dependent on, is this going to work? Is this song going to come out? Is it going to happen? Am I going to get paid? You don't know all this. So reality catches up with you at some point.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Are you a musician?
No. I used to play the drums, but that was way back when I was 8, 9, 10.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but since I left primary school, went to secondary school, I didn't pick it up anymore. Because they wanted me to be a keyboardist.
Ah.
I ain't playing no keyboard.
Yeah,
Then
that's no
they
fun.
tell me, no. Then they tell me try steel pan. I was like, no, I want to be a drummer.
Yeah.
That was my passion. But then from time to time, they kept changing me and changing me. I was like, nah, I'm done with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I love music. Tell you the truth, I love it. So sometimes some people see me programming and I have something in my ear. So I'm literally listening to soundtracks and doing my thing. Has no relation to what I'm programming for, but you know, that's why I love Able as well because I can just tap to whatever
Ye-
beat and it comes out magical.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. And it helps that you have some musical knowledge or some
Mhm.
musical talent for
Mhm.
doing live, especially if you're doing live shows, because it
Yes,
allows you to be synchronized with the band and sort of put a visual on the sound.
definitely.
I'd like to conclude. I mean, if you have either some advice to give to people or to youngsters that are starting out there, or a cool anecdote, I mean, I'll let you tell whatever you feel like telling.
Advice, piece of advice. Yeah, if you're coming into lighting or anything lighting at all, production, love it first because it will become part of your life, if not all of your life.
Mm.
Um, it takes up a lot of time and energy that sometimes you don't think you have, but you just find it. It will break up some relationships.
Oh,
Yeah, but
you want to talk
yeah,
about that?
man, life on the road with having a relationship is difficult because yes, you aren't spending birthdays, holidays, anniversaries with them. You are literally working.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard when have you're working with women as well on your team. Your spouse at home is like, okay, so you ain't with me all the time, you with she. And I see she in the vehicle all the time, like, what's going on? Nothing. She works with me. So you have to be on heavy guard and you have to give your 110% also in your relationship while you're at work. It's a juggle. So yeah, relationships and working on the road is hard. Um, I tend to keep one now because I am more flexible, have more time on my hands. So, you know, you can actually settle down and have a family. But doing that on the road, it's really tough. I had a trainer who was teaching us when I was back at the lighting company. He was a rigger. He came from overseas. He was teaching us um, how to rig stuff. And he said, well, he left production to teach on the road. And we asked him, but why? Are you making more money? What was it? He said, having more time with his family.
Hmm.
And that really hit home for me because you are out sometimes a whole week. You don't see home
Yep.
while your girlfriend or wife is home with the kids. You know, another mom might be getting in there. You never know.
Hmm.
So it is hard having a relationship on the road.
It is. Do you have kids?
No, not yet.
Okay.
30, 32 and still batting well.
Oh, you have time.
But will I have time and energy after having to deal with multiple jobs? I
Hmm.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Not easy.
Easy.
Well, thanks for that great advice. I think there's a lot of people that, like we say, this job is not well known. A lot of people don't know it exists, and then when they discover it, they go crazy. And and at that point, there's no warning sign saying, "Here's what you're getting into."
No,
so
absolutely not.
so you got to talk to people. You got to rely on people who are already there, like yourself,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
who can give you the guidelines and tell you what you're getting into and what you need to do to be successful.
Truth. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Chris, it's been an amazing talk, and I'm so glad that we could meet again after after a few years. Maybe
It's true.
someday I'll be in Barbados. I'll be able to look you up. I mean, I often take
Yeah.
vacation, but I have never been to Barbados, and it's funny because they don't offer it that much. I mean, we have Dominican Republic. There's Cuba. There's Mexico. What else do they offer? Jamaica. But they never talk about Barbados. I remember when I was young, there was commercials about taking vacation in Barbados. Apparently, it's one of the most
Uh-huh.
beautiful places on earth.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just plan a trip. Come down. Sandy beaches, all mostly sunny.
Well, Chris, it's been a great talk. Thank you so much. And
No problem at all.
all right, take care, my friend, and we'll talk soon.
No problem.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Chris. Take care.
You too, man.
Bye bye.
All right. Yeah.
The Backstage Cowboys podcast is brought to you by AVL Media Group and Avolights, who make the best lighting consoles in the world. If you live in Canada, you now have access to the Avolights Academy online learning platform. The cost is $229, and that includes an editor Avo key delivered directly to your door. Head on over to BackstageCowboys.com and click on the Avolights Academy logo to get all the details.